Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, Beer Budget Moto. If you haven't been here before, my name's Shane, Beer Budget Moto, running out of my two-car garage here. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. We do normal projects like you could do in your garage. So right now we are working on a little bike that I like to call the Twin 6. It is a 1981 Virago 750 V-twin. Shaft drive, pretty ugly bike from the factory, but very popular to do cafe racer builds on. So you probably, if you're not new to the channel, you might have heard me mention this bike in the past. It has been sitting dormant now for quite a while, probably been sitting dormant now for about 5 years. Okay, this bike was actually bought as my wife's birthday present 6 years ago, I believe. The first year I went pretty strong on it, got it all torn down. We swapped out the front end for an 06 Yamaha R6 front end, triple trees front wheel. You'll see that I have an 06 R6 myself, so I was kind of trying to go with that same theme. This bike has the like gold anodized uppers though, so a little different. This came off a wrecked bike, so we've got bent bars, bent levers here. The front wheel has a small bend in it. I actually ended up buying that separately. But what happened was, after the first year of doing all of that, things got crazy. We got married at that time. We ended up moving. We have a son now. He's 2 years old already. Haven't worked on the bike during any of that period of time. So I packed all the parts and pieces up in boxes and toolboxes and moved it here with us when we moved. And it's just been sitting here. So I finally got some time to, I hope, start working on this bike and hopefully get it done, if not by the end of this riding season, by the end of next riding season, because I really want to ride this thing. I'll be honest, I've lost a little bit of the ambition and the kind of excitement behind this build, but I'm trying to get that back because I was really excited about this bike at one point in time. So finally, just recently, we got some tires put on this thing. Okay, we went with 130/80/17 Shinko SR 777 for the front on an 06 Yamaha R6 front wheel. Twin disc brakes. You'll notice it has some sticky stuff up here around the bead. It had blue reflective rim tape on it when I bought it, and I peeled that off the best I could for now. And on the rear, we're using the stock Virago 750 wheel, drum brake. We went with the 140/90/16 on the rear, again SR 777. I personally would have liked a little more of an aggressive tire, something a little blockier, almost like something you might see on like a off-road enduro bike or something like that. But this is going to be a street-driven bike. My wife liked this style a little bit better. Ultimately, it's going to be her bike, although I'll probably be the one riding it most of the time. And I really just like the look of the other tire better. It looked a little meatier for the look that we're going for. So my plan today, guys, is to get the front wheel mounted back up on the bike. That should be pretty easy. We're just going to do kind of a rough mock-up just to get it rolling. I'm not going to worry about tightening everything and torque specs and all of that right now. And then I want to get the rear wheel remounted, the brakes mounted, the hub wheel mounted back into the rear swing arm, and I'd like to, if we can, I'd like to get the rear swing arm mounted back onto the bike so that we have a rolling chassis again, because right now, as you might be able to see, we've got it set up on the center stand, and the front of the bike is held up with a ratchet strap that goes up to a rafter in my garage. So again, guys, Beer Budget Moto, that's how we do things around here. No $1,000 motorcycle lifts in my garage. I can't justify spending that kind of money on something that I'm going to use, you know, for one bike project and then turn around and sell it or have it collect dust. I've got limited space to work with here. I've already got my own bike, lawn equipment, bouncy houses for my kid, stuff that I'm trying to sell, exercise equipment, etc., toolboxes, workbench. So we're just kind of working with what we got. So again, we're going to build this whole thing pretty much on the ground the way it sits, and I'd like to get it back as a rolling chassis because it has not been a rolling chassis for probably 5 or 6 years, like I said. So again, guys, that's the plan for today. I'm just going to do a little probably time lapse of me just kind of getting this thing as a roller. If I get it to that point, I'm going to show you some other parts that I have sitting here ready to go and kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at doing on this thing. So if you want to see the rest of this bike build, the Twin 6, that name kind of came from the V-Twin R6, kind of put the two together. So Twin 6, that's my name for it. Hopefully I'm going to get a plate made for it that says that someday when it's legal and rideable. So if you want to stick around, see this build, hang tight. Feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and appreciate you guys for watching. Take care. Alright guys, so we got the front wheel on. Took a lot longer than I expected. Let me show you why. The ratchet strap that I was using to hold this front end up, I had through the ignition keyhole right here. As you can see, that's offset from the center of our bars. So instead of lifting it up from the middle and keeping the front end straight, it was lifting it up from this side, which was making the handlebars want to twist this way, which was making the wheel want to stay that way, which was making this left side, when you're sitting on the bike, left side of the fork higher, and on a, it's making the axle sit like this. Okay, it's making it sit like this instead of flat. So that really fought me a lot right there, a lot more than it should have. But that's what happens when you know, you're building stuff on the floor. So now we're going to try to get the whole rear end put together here. We're going to get the drum, the hub, all bolted back in, and then we've got hardware here to put the rear swing arm back on the rear of the bike. We've got one long bolt that goes right through the frame right here, and then one kind of sleeve that goes through this monoshock. So this monoshock design is what makes this body style, this year range Virago really popular for cafe racers, because you don't have the twin shock. You don't have to worry about remounting all that or cutting off stuff on the back of the bike. Basically everything from here back can be deleted. You've got your 2 pivot points for your rear swing arm, and that's it. You can do whatever you want with the rest of it. So we're ultimately going to end up getting rid of the center stand, mounting just a normal side stand on it, redoing this exhaust and this terrible heat wrap job, changing up the way the tank mounts and some other things, but I will go over that all here in a minute. Once I get this as a rolling chassis, I'll show you what we have sitting over here ready to go on this thing when we're ready to work on it some more. So hang tight. Wish me luck that I remember how this thing goes back together. Alright guys, now that took a little bit longer than I anticipated. Basically, I took this whole swing arm apart to get the wheel off like 3 or 4 weeks ago, because I ordered the tires. The original tire was still on this wheel. The swing arm's just kind of been sitting here for a couple of years, so I finally disassembled the swing arm a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. Got the tires in, took the wheels and the tires to get mounted. I've had them back for probably 2 weeks now, week and a half, 2 weeks, and now I'm finally getting a chance to put it all back together. And I remembered where all the nuts and bolts went. Problem was I don't remember exactly what order I took everything apart in, and this is one of those jobs that in order to put one thing together, you know, this has to go in first, that has to go in second, etc., etc. Some jobs are a little more like that than others, but this one is very much so. You have to put everything together in the right order, and I didn't remember the exact order. So I put it together, realized that I couldn't put this in because I already put that in, had to take it back apart, redo it, find something else that needed to be put in before, you know, and just keep going back and forth a little bit. So it took me a little while, but I was able to get it. We've got the swing arm mounted now. Ignore this cable. This is our drum brake cable. But as you can see, we got the swing arm mounted. We got the hub in for the drum brake. Swing arms mounted, axles through. One of the things I was worried about on upping the tire size was having clearance here between the swing arm and the tire. I did up the tire sizes on both the front and the rear. Upped the size from the factory rear size on the Virago and upped the front tire size on the R6 front wheel. So I was worried about having clearance issues here along the frame. Let me show you here. So I was worried about having clearance issues right here along the swing arm, down here along the swing arm, and on this side as well. You can actually see this is the bracket for the brake. You can see it's kind of hard to tell with the backdrop that we have here, but you can see there is plenty of clearance there, and as well underneath on the swing arm down here as well. So we have clearance everywhere. I would like to have probably a little bit more clearance on this tube right here. This tire, when it gets warm, might swell a little bit, and I don't want it to rub. But this is just a hollow tube that contains the drive shaft, so I could clearance it just a bit with a hammer, or you know, even cut out a section and weld in a little molded plate around there. But for right now, I think that it will work. We have the axle in. We don't have the axle not tightened all the way. We don't have a cotter pin in there. We don't have any of these bolts, nuts tight either. As you can see, this whole thing is going to get stripped down again. It's been painted, spray painted or something in the past. All the silver's been painted black. Probably the route that I'm going to go again. I might get rid of the chrome or aluminum lip here on this wheel and just keep it all black, as well as these faces. I might just black it all out so that it matches all the black on the R6 wheel. But this is just for mock-up purposes. We want to get it all mocked up and make sure that all these tires fit. We want to get all the seat, the linkages, everything, the dash. We want to get the bike running, all the wiring done. We want to make sure that everything's going to work before I worry about painting it, clearancing anything. Well, we'll clearance it before we paint it, obviously, but before we do anything, you know, final torques, final specs, change any fluids, replace any you know, damaged washers and nuts or anything like that. Before we do any of that, we're going to have the whole bike mocked up, running, rideable, essentially driveway rideable, and then we'll take it all back apart, paint things that need painted, powder coated, button up any wiring, any loose ends, replace anything that needs swapped out at that point. So we're going to get there, so don't judge me on just kind of slapping this thing together. We're slapping it together for a reason. It's mock-up. We're just mocking it up. It's a custom bike. You know, not necessarily frame up or anything, but it's the most custom bike that I've ever built. And it's not really an instruction manual for it. So all the wiring is going to have to be figured out. Where we're going to put the battery is going to have to be figured out. All the linkages, all the wiring. For the controls, we're going to use 06 R6 front controls. We're probably going to use a electrical management system from Cognito Moto. They make a really nice kit to run all of our turn signals, ignition, stator, all of that type stuff. So there's going to be a lot that goes into it. We're going to be changing the bar ends, the grips, the levers. We're going to be modifying the fuel tank a little bit, building a custom seat frame, custom exhaust, lighting, gauges, all that's going to be custom and different, and all of it's going to have to be mocked up before we do any kind of final assembly. So hang tight, bear with me. Alright guys, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the swing arm mounted onto the back of the bike here. I want to get this as a roller here before the end of the day so I can roll it around. I actually have a new toy coming for the garage. It's going to be going right in this general area. You might be able to see I've got some duct tape marks on the garage floor. That kind of maps out the footprint that this new toy is going to take. That might give you a hint. Stay tuned. That's going to be coming to the channel here in the next week or two after 9 months or so of waiting. So stick around. You're going to want to be around for that. There's going to be a lot of great content coming with the new toy, both add-ons, modifications, and using the toy. So anyway, I want this to be a roller so that I can move it around the garage as necessary when I have the new toy in here, when I want to work on my bike, the 06 R6 Raven Edition. Some of this stuff's for sale. It's going to be getting out of here completely because I just need more room. And when you got champagne taste and a beer budget, you work with what you got. I've got a 2-car garage that's got to have all of my maintenance, house maintenance stuff, my kids' toys, my wife and I's bicycles, lawnmowers, you know, it's got to have everything else in it. It can't just house my toys. We're not working with a pole barn or a leased shop or anything like that. So Beer Budget Moto guys, this is all situations that you're going to face when you want to have cool stuff and you're just working with what you got at your house and your neighborhood and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to set you guys up so that you can see me get this swing arm put back on the bike. We're going to get it off the center stand here for the first time in like 5 years, and maybe even wheel it out into the sunshine here so that we can see what she looks like as a roller. All right, stick around. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got the swing arm on, we got our through pin here, as well as our long pivot bolt right here. Wheel is free rolling here. I think the wheel might be a little bit bent, just watching my clearances here when I spin the wheel from what I can see here. But let me show you here. So if I give this baby a spin, all right, over here you can see we got good clearance. Over here on the swing arm here, we're good. The only issue is this lower support bar right here. It just runs down to the bottom of this bearing carrier here up to the frame. This is really close. It's kind of hard to get a great angle here, but you can see it is very close. It doesn't hit, but it's very close. And once that tire gets a little bit of heat in it, if it swells at all, if I pump it up another PSI or two, it could rub, and I don't want to take that chance. So we'll probably just clearance this, or I mean, it's literally just a bar. It's just a strengthening rod from point A to point B, so I could fabricate a new rod with a slight radius in it, a little bend, and that would solve that problem. Or I might be able to just honestly bend this out just a bit. Obviously, I don't want to bend it too much because it will shorten the overall length and it will cause this not to fit in place properly, but a slight bend just to give me like a 1/4 inch or so away from the tire, I think would be good. Alright guys, I got it out in the driveway. It looks bad. It looks real bad. Bad in a good way. It's going for like not a skinny tire cafe racer look, but like a fat tire, kind of bobber Street Fighter look, but on a older, you know, V-twin Japanese frame. But I wanted fat tires. I want a single solo seat, low bars. didn't want the skinny like normal cafe racer tires, spoke wheels, anything like that. So it's kind of going for like a muscle bike, kind of rowdy, little bar hopper, kind of single seat looking bike. So I hope you guys are ready. Check it out. I know it's a little hard to tell up on the center stand right now. The side stand's not on it, and I don't really have any other way to hold it up at the moment, but you can see what we're going with here. Fat tires. I wanted to get them as close to as possible in size, front to rear, but it's tricky because the front's a 17, the rear wheel's a 16, factory 30-year-old early 80s Virago rear wheel, 06 R6 front wheel. They're slightly different style. Obviously you got a straight 5-spoke up front, you've got kind of a twin 5-spoke in the rear with like a swoosh to them, so they're not exactly the same, but I think once I black out that back wheel, get rid of the polished aluminum on it, it'll look pretty good. We're going to completely redo the exhaust. We're going to raise the back of the tank. We're going to get rid of that arch that follows the frame. We're going to give it more of a cafe racer look. We're going to bring the back of the tank up with a nice flat solo style seat. I've got that ready for you. I'll show you that in a second. We've got new clip-ons for it, new bars. We're going to get some new shorty levers for it. Again, that front end was in a wreck, so that stuff's a little bent up, but I think it's going to look really, really rad. My wife's got a cool color picked out for it. It's going to be slightly feminine, but masculine enough that I'm still going to want to ride this thing. So I'm really, really pumped on it. I think it's going to look really, really sweet. So let me show you what else I got for this thing. Alright guys, so we got some Vortex clip-ons here, just some normal black 50mm fork tube 7-degree angle clip-ons for the 06 R6 front end. Vortex makes a really nice product. I actually have Woodcraft on my bike clip-ons. One of them stayed black. This one you can kind of see stayed black. This one over here almost turned like a burnt orange. I'm not sure why. I don't necessarily mind that, but I wanted to try a different brand. I wanted to try Vortex and see if we have the same issues with that one. So I actually ordered this kit off of eBay. I didn't realize it, but they arrived with some fresh grips. I think we're just going to go ahead and use those. They're kind of a basic, you know, knobby style. They kind of look retro. They look a little 70s, a little 80s, which should kind of fit the bike. So again, I didn't even realize that these were coming with the clip-ons, but we needed grips anyway, and that saved us from having to pick them up. So and then our seat right here, voila, there she is. My wife kind of wanted a lighter color seat than this, more of a tannish, like light, like almost like a khaki color, I guess. But we ended up going with this. This is in the style of seat that we wanted. Again, I wanted kind of like a old school solo seat, not like not a huge deep dish or deep recess in it. I kind of wanted the diamond stitch pattern because I think that's going to look really, really sick on the bike. Again, just kind of picture this like on here like so. Okay, it's going to look really, really cool. We're going to get the back of the tank up. We're going to run it right into the seat here, and probably up a little bit more like that. We're going to have just total naked rear end, no fender, no nothing. I'm going to have to fabricate a mounting bracket to utilize these 4 mounting bolts and somehow run it off of the original seat mounting bolts here. Just kind of keep it as nice and clean and tight as we can. So anyway guys, that's the seat that we got for it. We've got clip-ons, we've got grips. All right, there she is, just soaking up the sun, right? We've got a new toy coming in the garage. Take a look at that footprint. The other one's hidden over here. We got two up front. Okay, that's how wide. That's how deep. So what do you guys think we're getting? Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Tell me what you think the new toy is coming to the channel. Again, it's going to be debuting here in the next week or two. I got a call from the dealership just this week with good news. So fingers crossed it stays that way. It's a holiday weekend right now, July 4th weekend, so I'm hoping that doesn't screw anything up as far as shipping or you know, final assembly of anything, stuff like that. So stay tuned. Leave a comment below what you think the new toy is coming to the channel. Stick around if you want to see more on the Twin 6 build. That's going to be really cool. It's going to be kind of a long, drawn-out process. It's a lot of fabrication work. It's my first time doing anything quite this extensive as far as really custom fabrication. I mean, I built some cool stuff like my son's lowrider wagon up here. I built that for him before he was even born. You know, so I can do some light fabrication. I've got just a cheap auto arc Harbor Freight welder, flux core, no gas. It's not MIG, it's not TIG, it's nothing fancy. I've got an old school grinder, okay, on a steel wheel mount. All right, I've got a box full of tools, another box full of tools, a workbench, and creativity. So we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see what we can build. I hope that it turns out as cool as I'm picturing. I've seen some really cool bikes done this style online. I think it's gonna turn out really, really neat. So stick around. There's gonna be a lot of other videos being posted before this bike's done. We got the new toy coming to the channel. There's gonna be more stuff on some trailers that I've got out in the backyard here. I want to do a 1-year review on my dump trailer. I also picked up a new trailer, which is primarily for the new toy that's coming to the channel. So we're going to be showing you guys that when we debut the new toy. There's going to be lots of videos on that, videos on the Twin 6 project, videos on the trailers, and just some other really cool stuff. So again guys, this is Beer Budget Moto. All right, champagne taste, beer budget. If you're a blue collar guy like me, you like cool stuff, but you don't necessarily have deep pockets to pay other people to do stuff like this for you, build you this kind of stuff, or buy stuff like this already done. Stick around, see what we build. Maybe it's something you can use in your projects, in your life. Maybe you'll get some cool ideas. Maybe you want to spend some time out in the garage building something cool. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Stick around if you want to see more stuff like the Twin 6. Leave a comment below what you think the new toy is coming to the channel in the next week or two. I'm going to do my best to get that video uploaded as quickly as possible. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Take care and have a great night. Peace.